And last but not least, the senator from the 17th.
Well, here we are. It's April 1st, and I'm all that remains between you, my colleagues and friends, and the food and the drink in the back parlor. Thank you, Mr. President. I want to just say what a privilege it is to have served in this body. And I want to assure my friend, the senator from the 19th, that despite his often mentioned concern about me being long-winded, the hair on his head will be the same length when I finish my remarks as when I began. I just want to say that if I get a little choked up here, it will be because it's finally dawned on me that that opportunity has slipped away after 20 years of promises. We kid because we care. The truth is, this has been one heck of a ride. I ran for public office because I felt a calling, like many of you. I ran as a Republican because it most closely reflected my views, the views of better government or governance through limited government, which respected and emphasized local control and accountability, a philosophy which held up individual freedoms and liberty, a party which at its foundation stood for greater opportunity and equality for every human being, and increased participation and voting by every citizen. It was a party which encouraged and strengthened capitalism while leading the world in protecting and conserving our natural resources and environment. This was the party of Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, Eisenhower, and at the time I first ran, Reagan. It was the Wisconsin party of Governor and Senator Fighting Bob La Follette, Governors Vernon Thompson, Warren Knowles, Walter Kohler, Lee Sherman Dreyfus, and later Tommy Thompson. It was a party I was so proud of that I emblazoned each of my farm signs with Republican, followed by Schultz in State Assembly. In 1991, when my Senator Dick Krull received an appointment from Governor Tommy Thompson, I was honored by the support of the voters of the 17th Senate District and moved to the upper house. Despite how others may view me, serving the interests and the collective hopes, needs, and desires of those I represent has been my goal since day one. I have no illusions about my own talents. The mirror and my wife keep me grounded. So let there be no misconceptions. I get it. Without the trust and the support of those I represent, I'd still be selling real estate and chickens on the farm. So my positions on bills and issues have been very much less about me than they have been about the folks in my part of the world and them telling me what they wanted. Maybe I'm just naive, but I always thought that's kind of the way it was supposed to work. After nearly 32 years under the marble big top and learning from people wiser than me, I've come to believe this: we have to quit asking ourselves, which team are you on? Because here's my answer. I'm on the people's team, all the people. I wasn't elected to just represent Republicans in my district because I was elected to listen to and represent everyone. For me, partisanship is a lens, not a straitjacket. We have to quit thinking of the other side as the enemy. Here's how I see the enemy. The enemy, don't you wish your lips sometimes came with a set of instructions? The enemy is poverty in a country and a state that has no business having kids and families go to sleep hungry at night or in their cars. The enemy is unemployment and underemployment, because the last time I checked, nobody asked an employer advertising a good job if they were an R or a D. They were just thankful to get a job that gave them worth and put food on the table. The enemy are those who encourage an undereducated citizenry. Education is the key to helping give people a hand up and a better future. Those who attack education and educators are to be shunned, not celebrated. The most dangerous enemy of all, though, the one we don't even want to discuss, is closest to us. It lives with us. In fact, it lives within us. The real enemy is fear. We fear what we do not understand. We fear those who are different. We fear losing what we have. When we take away our masks and face each other for who and what we are, without judgment, fear, or loss or recrimination, then we begin to listen. We can begin to talk, and then we can begin to build a better future. That's why we all come here, Democrat and Republican alike, to build a better future for Wisconsin. I've learned it can be even brighter if we allow compromise to triumph over conformity and capitulation. And it's also a lot more fun. Well, time doesn't permit me to thank everyone I'd like. There are a handful of people I must recognize. First, the longest-serving senator in the United States, the senator from the 26th. I can remember as a boy, when I was a boy and first getting my awareness of politics, growing up on the near south side of Madison, Senator Risser coming to our door during campaign time. My mother was an avid supporter, and I know she'd be proud to see me serving with you together. I've enjoyed our time together on the State Building Commission and the State Historical Society Board of Curators. When I was considering whether I was going to run for re-election last time, I sought out Senator Risser because I was concerned that I'd be into my 60s if I was re-elected, and he related some sage advice. He said, "Dale, Thomas Jefferson made a comment about serving in government in age. Jefferson said that one should not worry about one's exact age, chronological age, in reference to his ability to perform one's task." Fred said, and ever since he told me that, I stopped worrying. The truth is, the senator from the 26th is sprier in body and mind than me, and I shall be forever grateful for his mentoring. The senators from the 15th and the 25th may not share my party identity, but we share commonalities far deeper. We've been around this building a few years, and we appreciate the ebbs and flows of the political timeline. The senator from the 15th made it possible for us to travel around the state with a bipartisan message of compromise, better government, and redistricting. The senator from the 25th led an effort for the senator from the 15th and myself in bringing a bipartisan approach to the subject of mining. But more than politics, Senator Cullen and Senator Jauch are just great guys. And even more than calling them colleagues, I'm proud to call them friends. Friends are not easy to come by in politics. As the old saying goes, if you want a friend in politics, buy a dog. I have 2 dogs.
And 2 friends.
I also have 2 friends in my caucus who served with me in this institution longer than any others, the senator from the 19th and the 2nd. Feels a little odd to look around and see only 2 other members of your caucus who've been here longer than you. Mr. President and Senator Coles, you have been mentors, colleagues, and friends longer than anyone else. I thank you, and I trust you will both remain ornery and vigilant watchdogs of the taxpayers' money. And how could I thank the both of you without also mentioning the senator from the 14th? Senator Olson has been a leader and a partner on the issue of education in this state, and I thank you also for your friendship, because education, as I've said, is so very important. My seatmate from the 11th, who was also my partner serving as the assistant leader when I served as majority leader. Senator Kedzie has been there as a check and a balance for me, a calming presence, and an unheralded leader on natural resource issues in the state. Thank you, Senator Kedzie, for your friendship, and I look forward to many days of field in the future. And to all of my colleagues, both past and present, I've enjoyed serving with each and every one of you, even though we may not have always agreed. I've enjoyed the give and take. I'm fond of telling my constituents I make the promises and my staff keeps them. You know, it's better sometimes just to be upfront and honest. I've been fortunate to have wonderful people work for me, and while time doesn't permit me to mention them all, there are 3 I must thank by name. Tom Jackson and Todd Albaugh have been with me for 25 and 22 years, respectively. They may not have always gotten the credit that they deserved, but their work has been felt and seen throughout the state. Cheryl Albers has been a longtime friend, a colleague in the Assembly, and this session she returned to my office at my request to lend her knowledge of the district in the performance of our duties. I thank them all, everyone who has served the people of the 17th Senate District. To the unsung heroes of this body, the legislative service agencies, in particular Bob Lang, Terry Anderson, Steve Miller, Joe Chrisman and their staff, the Chief Clerk Jeff Rank and his staff, Sergeant-at-Arms Ted Blazel and his staff, to all the pages. We could not do what we do without each of you. And that, of course, brings to mind a quick story told by Al Gore about former U.S. Senator Bill Bradley during a black tie roast and retold by Chris Matthews in his book Hardball. Senator Bradley came to the Senate with his reputation as a Princeton All-American NBA star preceding him. Invited to make a speech at a large banquet, the confident legislator sat at the head table waiting to make his address. Then the waiter came around and put a pat of butter on his plate. Bradley stopped him. "Excuse me, can I have 2 pads of butter?" "Sorry," the waiter said, "1 pat to a person." "I don't think you know who I am," Bradley said. "I'm Bill Bradley, the Rhodes Scholar, professional basketball player, world champion, and United States Senator." The waiter said, "Well, maybe you don't know who I am." "Well, as a matter of fact, I don't," Bradley said. "Who are you?" "I'm the guy," the waiter said, "who's in charge of the butter." In the world of power, there always seems to be someone in charge of the butter. That's a wise piece of advice for any incoming legislators this fall. Finally, I'd like to thank my constituents who've entrusted me with their votes and my family who've made enormous sacrifices so I might have the opportunity to serve. To my favorite eldest daughter, Katie, and my favorite youngest daughter, Amanda, thanks for sharing your dad with others. To my wife, my hero, Rachel, thank you for allowing me 32 years to get it out of my system. Thank you for being there to keep me grounded and giving me your support. All three of my girls have my thanks and my love. Those who know me know I'm a great admirer of Wisconsin men's basketball coach Bo Ryan. We got to know each other just a little bit during his time at UW-Platteville. And I just like the way he goes about his business. I'm so happy for the Badgers now, my alma mater, but especially for Coach Ryan, to see him reach the Final Four, because he's been such an inspiration to so many. In his book, Another Hill to Climb, he gives a great perspective on looking back at one's career. He writes, "Friendships and relationships are formed in the course of doing our jobs, though we aren't always in a position to be their buddy. What we're passing along isn't always what they want to hear, but that's in keeping in the way all of us had to grow up. If things are done in a certain way, the percentages will pay off, and the good times will outweigh the bad they have for me." Mr. President, I can honestly say they have for me as well. It's been a great ride, an amazing honor to serve the people of the 17th Senate District, in an area of Wisconsin that Governor Dreyfus once called the 23rd sound place. And so, my friends, I leave you with this, the words from the first verse of an old Irish farewell tune, The Parting Glass. "Of all the money that e'er I spent it in good company. And of all the harm that ever I did, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So come fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all." Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from the 13th.
I think the minority leader and I kind of feel the same. We both have partisan speeches that we're ready to rip each other apart on. But in lieu of the way things just went, I don't know that that's well advised. So we'll probably just make ourselves available to the media later on so that we can do that. So we do have a reception in the back. So with that, Mr. President, I'd ask unanimous consent that the Senate stand adjourned until April 3rd for the purposes of a skeletal session.
Without objection, the Senate is adjourned.